The galaxy knew humans as traders, diplomats, and peaceful settlers. For 300 years, humanity had spread across dozens of star systems, building colonies, establishing trade routes, and maintaining friendly relations with alien species. The Galactic Council welcomed them as mediators and peacekeepers. Captain Jack Miller commanded the merchant vessel Starlight Runner, carrying medical supplies to the Outer Rim colonies. His crew of 12 included families, engineers, medics, and cargo handlers who had chosen the peaceful life among the stars. The ship hummed quietly through hyperspace, its passengers unaware they were being hunted. The attack came without warning. Pirate vessels emerged from the asteroid field near Kepler Station, their hulls bearing the mark of the Red Claw Syndicate. These weren't ordinary pirates. They were slavers, known for capturing entire crews and selling them to the highest bidder. "Surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded," the pirate leader's voice crackled through the cone. "Resist and die." Jack looked at his crew, good people who had never held weapons, who believed in humanity's peaceful path. His hands trembled as he reached for the emergency beacon. For 3 centuries, this signal had never been used. Most humans had forgotten it even existed. "Emergency Protocol 7. Jack whispered into the transmitter. "This is Merchant Vessel. Starlight Runner. We are under attack by hostile forces. Repeat, Emergency Protocol 7. The signal shot across the galaxy at faster than light speed, reaching every human colony, every ship, every station. In government buildings on Earth, ancient computers that had slept for centuries suddenly came alive. Warning lights that had never been activated began to flash. Admiral Kate Ross stood in the depths of Luna Base, 3 kilometers beneath the moon's surface. She had been the director of colonial defense for 20 years, a job that mostly involved filing reports and attending peace conferences. The massive steel doors behind her hadn't opened since they were built. "Ma'am," her aide called out, voice shaking. "We're receiving a Protocol 7 transmission." Kate's blood went cold. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but never believed it would come. Her fingers moved to the ancient control panel, entering codes that had been passed down through generations of military leaders. "Confirm the signal," she ordered. "Confirmed, Admiral. The Starlight Runner is under attack. Captain Miller reports pirates with intent to capture and enslave." Kate's face hardened. She pressed her palm against the scanner and spoke clearly. "Authorization Ross 77 Alpha. Activate the machine." Deep beneath Luna's surface, massive turbines began to spin. Power grids that had been maintained but never used came online. Factory complexes the size of cities started their production cycles. Automated systems began pulling resources from asteroid mines, from hidden depots scattered across human space. That the Galactic Council had always wondered why humans built so many mining operations, why they established so many research stations in empty star systems. They assumed it was simple human efficiency. Their species did seem to enjoy industrial projects. They had no idea they were looking at the largest military infrastructure ever constructed. On Earth, President Maria Santos received the alert in her sleep. She rushed to the Situation Room where her generals were already gathering. Ancient protocols, studied but never implemented, were suddenly very real. "How long?" she asked. 72 hours for the first response fleet," General Tom Hayes replied. "Full mobilization in 2 weeks. And the crew of the Starlight Runner? Still fighting, ma'am. But they're civilian traders. They won't last long." Maria closed her eyes. Humanity had built this machine hoping never to use it. For 3 centuries, they had been the galaxy's peaceful neighbors, its trusted mediators. But they had also remembered the lessons of Earth's. Bloody history. Peace was only possible when good people had the strength to defend it. Across human space, the awakening continued. Cargo ships revealed hidden weapon systems. Agricultural stations opened their blast doors to reveal fleets of warships. Citizens who had lived their entire lives as peaceful colonists reported to military installations they had never known existed. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their diplomacy or their trade networks. It was their ability to plan for the worst while hoping for the best. The machine was awakening, and it was hungry for war. First human warship to respond was the Iron Will, a destroyer that had been disguised as a deep space research vessel for 40 years. Commander Lisa Park had spent her career studying stellar phenomena while secretly maintaining one of humanity's most advanced combat ships. "Time to intercept?" she asked her weapons officer. 18 minutes at maximum burn, Lieutenant Mike Stone replied. His fingers danced over controls he had drilled on countless times, but never used in anger. "The Starlight Runner is still broadcasting, but her shields are failing." Lisa nodded grimly. The pirate ships were Gothic cruisers, heavily armed vessels, designed for raiding and intimidation. Against a merchant ship, they were unstoppable. Against the Iron Will, they were about to learn the difference between hunting prey and facing a predator. "All stations, this is the captain," Lisa announced over the ship's intercom. "We are responding to a Protocol 7 emergency. Our people are in danger. Show them what humanity does to those who threaten our own." The Iron Will dropped out of hyperspace like a falling star. Her hull, black as space itself, seemed to drink the light from nearby stars. The pirates had never seen anything like her, sleek, deadly, and moving with purpose that spoke of centuries of careful design. "Unknown vessel, you are interfering with salvage operations," the pirate leader transmitted. "Withdraw or face destruction." Lisa's response was simple. The Iron Will's main gun spoke first. The lead pirate cruiser simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding gas and debris. The other pirates stared in shock. Their leadership had been destroyed by a single shot from a vessel they had never seen before. "This is Commander Park of the Human Defense Force," Lisa transmitted on all frequencies. "You have attacked civilians under our protection. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The pirates opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams and missiles filled space around the Iron Will, but the human ship moved like it was dancing. Her shields absorbed what they couldn't avoid, her point defense systems destroying incoming missiles with casual precision. In response, the Iron Will began to methodically destroy the pirate fleet. Each shot was calculated, precise, devastating. These weren't random attacks. They were surgical strikes that spoke of decades of tactical planning and preparation. Within 10 minutes, 5 pirate cruisers had been reduced to wreckage. "Mercy!" the surviving pirates screamed over the comm. "We surrender. We didn't know." "You knew enough," Lisa replied coldly. "You knew they were helpless civilians. You knew you intended to sell them as slaves. That was enough." The last pirate ship tried to flee, but the Iron Will was faster. Her final shot removed another slaver from the galaxy. Lisa immediately opened a channel to the Starlight Runner. "Captain Miller, this is Commander Park. Are your people safe?" Jack's voice came through, shaky with relief and awe. "All crew accounted for, Commander. Minor injuries only. I never knew ships like yours existed." "They always existed, Captain. We just prayed we'd never need them." As the Iron Will began rescue operations, more human ships were arriving. Throughout the galaxy, the awakening was spreading like wildfire. Military installations that had posed as research stations for centuries revealed their true nature. Asteroid mining operations opened hidden docks to reveal fleets of warships. On the Galactic Council station, alien diplomats watched in stunned silence as their monitoring systems detected massive energy signatures throughout human space. Ships were moving, factories were producing, and the peaceful traders they thought they knew were transforming before their eyes. Ambassador Tor, a Velkin who had worked with humans for 50 years, stared at the displays in disbelief. How many ships do they have? Initial estimates suggest. His aide paused, checking the numbers again. Over 10,000 combat vessels, sir. And the number is growing. 10,000? How is that possible? We monitor their industrial capacity. We know their population centers. Sir, it appears we knew nothing about their industrial capacity. These facilities have been hidden for centuries. Underground, in asteroid fields, in systems we thought were uninhabited. Tor sank into his chair. The gentle, diplomatic humans who had mediated disputes and delivered medical supplies were revealing themselves as the most prepared military force the galaxy had ever seen. The machine was fully awake now, and it was magnificent. But the real question remained. What would humanity do with this power once the immediate threat was over? Admiral Kate Ross stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, humanity's first dreadnought to emerge from the hidden shipyards of Titan. The massive vessel stretched 2 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with weapons that had been designed by the greatest military minds of 3 centuries. "Status report," she commanded. "All battle groups are operational," her tactical officer reported. "We have confirmed the rescue of the Starlight Runner's crew. Intelligence indicates the Red Claw Syndicate operates from 12 different systems." Kate studied the holographic display showing pirate movements across the galaxy. For decades, these slavers had terrorized trade routes, capturing civilians and selling them to the highest bidders. The Galactic Council had issued strong words and economic sanctions, but the pirates continued their work. That was about to change. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Tor requests immediate communication." "Put him through." The elderly Velkin's face appeared on the main screen, his usually calm demeanor replaced by obvious concern. "Admiral Ross, the Council is impressed by your rapid response to the pirate attack. However, we must discuss the scale of your military mobilization. Our sensors indicate massive fleet movements throughout human space." Kate's expression remained neutral. "Ambassador, one of our merchant vessels was attacked by slavers. We responded appropriately." "Appropriately?" Tor's voice rose slightly. "Admiral, you've deployed what appears to be the largest military force in galactic history. Surely this exceeds the scope of a simple pirate incident." "With respect, Ambassador, there is nothing simple about an attack on our civilians. The Red Claw Syndicate has operated with impunity for too long. That ends now. Admiral, please. The Council can mediate this situation. We can negotiate with the pirates, perhaps offer them alternative employment. Violence only leads to more violence." Kate's jaw tightened. "Ambassador, these pirates capture families and sell them as slaves. Children, Tor. They sell children. There will be no negotiation." The connection ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Kate turned to her fleet commanders, their faces appearing on individual screens around the bridge. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have our orders. Operation Clean Sweep is now active. Every pirate base, every slaver ship, every Red Claw facility in the galaxy will be eliminated within 72 hours. No survivors among the leadership, no mercy for those who profit from suffering." The human fleet spread across the galaxy like an avenging angel. Battle groups appeared in pirate systems that had considered themselves untouchable. The Red Claw's main base on Tortuga Prime had boasted that it was too well defended for any conventional force to assault. They were correct. Humanity didn't use conventional forces. Captain Dan Walsh led the assault on Tortuga Prime with a fleet of stealth destroyers. The pirates never saw them coming. Their defense platforms, designed to repel Council peacekeeping forces, were useless against weapons that existed outside galactic military doctrine. Target their command center first, Dan ordered, then their slave pens. Priority is civilian. Rescue. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When the smoke cleared, the fortress that had terrorized the Outer Rim for 50 years was nothing but debris. But more importantly, over 3,000 slaves were freed from the Red Claws. Dungeons. Similar scenes played out across a dozen systems. Pirates who had grown fat and lazy from preying on helpless merchants found themselves facing opponents who had spent centuries preparing for war. The technological gap was insurmountable, but it wasn't just about technology. The human forces fought with a cold precision that spoke of absolute moral certainty. These weren't conquerors seeking territory or glory. They were exterminators, removing a plague from the galaxy. On Kepler Station, where the original attack had occurred, the station master watched in awe as human ships delivered freed slaves and captured pirate treasure. Mountains of supplies, medicine, food, and equipment stolen from countless victims were distributed to colonies that had suffered under pirate raids. Why? He asked Commander Park, who was overseeing the operation. Why keep all this military power secret? Why not use it before? Lisa looked out at the stars, where human warships patrolled with quiet efficiency. Because the moment we revealed our strength, we would have become the threat. Every species in the galaxy would have united against us out of fear. We wanted to be your neighbors, not your overlords. And now? Now they know the price of harming innocents under our protection. The galaxy can return to peace, but it will be a peace backed by strength rather than hope. The Red Claw Syndicate was broken, their leaders dead or captured, their operations scattered to the void. But humanity's war machine was just getting started. They had tasted blood, and they found they had an appetite for justice. 3 weeks after the Red Claw Syndicate's destruction, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 47 different species gathered on the neutral station of Haven Prime, their faces showing mixtures of fear, awe, and calculation. Ambassador Tor stood before the assembly, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of diplomatic tradition. Fellow beings, we face an unprecedented situation. Humanity has revealed military capabilities that exceed our combined fleets by a factor of 10. The question before us is simple. What do we do now? The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Species that had viewed humans as useful but harmless now saw them as an existential threat. They deceived us for 3 centuries, shouted Representative Klex of the Drakmor Empire. How do we know this isn't the prelude to conquest? Their actions speak for themselves, countered Ambassador Yenna of the Altarian Republic. They rescued slaves, not conquered worlds. They eliminated pirates, not established dominion. Meanwhile, President Maria Santos addressed the human colonies from her office on Earth. Behind her, through reinforced windows, construction crews worked on new defensive installations that were no longer hidden from view. My fellow humans, she began, the galaxy now knows what we always hoped they would never need to know. We are not the helpless traders and diplomats they believed us to be. We are a people who learned from our violent past and prepared for a dangerous future. Some of you may ask why we kept this secret for so long. The answer is simple. We wanted to be your neighbors' friends, not their masters. We built our strength in shadow so we could live in the light. Across human space, the revelation was transforming society. Citizens who had lived as peaceful colonists were learning about the massive infrastructure that had protected them. Children discovered that their parents had been trained soldiers, their teachers former military officers, their communities built around hidden defense networks. On Mars, 16-year-old Emma Chun stood in her school's gymnasium, which had been converted into a recruitment center. The woman addressing her class wore the uniform of the Human Defense Force a uniform Emma had never seen before 3 weeks ago. Volunteering for service is exactly that, voluntary, Colonel Jane Fox explained. But we need people who understand that freedom isn't free. It must be defended by those willing to pay its price. Emma raised her hand. Colonel, my father always said we were peaceful people. How do we balance that with all this? She gestured toward the holographic displays showing human fleets patrolling the galaxy. Colonel Fox smiled sadly. Peace is not the absence of violence, Emma. Peace is the presence of justice. For 3 centuries, we maintained peace through diplomacy and trade. But when diplomacy fails, when innocents are threatened, strength becomes the only language predators understand. The philosophical debate raged across human society, but it was interrupted by urgent news from the frontier. Scout ships reported massive fleet movements in the Void Sector, an unexplored region beyond the galactic rim. Admiral Kate Ross studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. These aren't pirates or raiders, she told her staff. The formations are too organized, too purposeful. We're looking at a military force. Sir, her intelligence officer spoke up. Long-range sensors indicate these ships are of unknown design. They're not from any species in the Galactic Council database. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had revealed their strength to deal with pirates. But now something else was stirring in the darkness, beyond known space. The first contact came as a transmission broadcast across all frequencies. Its message simple and terrifying. We are the devourers. We consume worlds and harvest their populations. Your galaxy has been marked for consumption. Resistance is futile. The transmission included visual records of dead worlds, planets stripped of all life, their populations vanished, their resources extracted down to the bedrock. Entire civilizations wiped from existence by beings that viewed intelligent life as nothing more than a resource to be harvested. In the Galactic Council chambers, panic replaced political maneuvering. Species that had been arguing about humanity's power suddenly found themselves grateful for it. How long before they reached populated systems? Tor asked the human military liaison. Based on their observed movement patterns, 6 months, Admiral. Ross replied, maybe less if they accelerate. Can the Council fleets stop them? Kate's expression was grim. Ambassador, our analysis suggests the Devourer fleet outnumbers the entire Galactic Council military 3-1. Their technology appears roughly equivalent to ours, but their numbers are overwhelming. Tor's face went pale. Then what do we do? We fight, Kate replied simply. Humanity didn't build the largest military force in galactic history to let it rust in storage. The machine was built for moments exactly like this. The galaxy was about to witness humanity's true purpose, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Standing between civilization and the hungry dark. 6 months later, the Devourer fleet reached the outer rim of known space. Their ships were massive, organic-looking vessels that seemed to breathe as they moved through the void. Scout reports confirmed humanity's worst fears. Wherever the Devourers passed, they left nothing but dead rocks floating in space. Admiral Kate Ross stood on the bridge of the Last Hope, humanity's newest and most powerful dreadnought. Around her, the combined fleets of 47 species formed the largest military formation in galactic history. Human ships formed the backbone of the defense, but every species had contributed what they could. Final count, Admiral, her tactical officer reported. 8,000 council ships, 12,000 human vessels. The Devourers number approximately 60,000. Kate nodded grimly. The odds were worse than humanity had faced, even in their darkest historical moments. But they had advantages their enemies couldn't understand. For 3 centuries, humans had studied warfare not just as an art, but as a science of survival. Open, "A channel to all ships," Kate ordered. Her voice echoed across 20,000 vessels, reaching millions of beings who had never fought together before. "This is Admiral Ross of the Human Defense Force. Today, we stand not as separate species, but as one civilization facing extinction. The Devourers see us as prey to be harvested. They are about to learn that they have made a grave mistake." The first wave of Devourer ships crashed into the outer defense line like a living tsunami. Council vessels, equipped with human upgraded weapons, fought with desperate courage. The Altarian Republic's crystal ships sang as they died. Drakmor Empire cruisers rammed enemy vessels rather than retreat, but it was the human ships that turned the tide of individual battles. The Iron Will, the destroyer that had first responded to the Starlight Runner's distress call, carved through Devourer formations like a knife through flesh. Her captain, Lisa Park, had been promoted to Commodore and now led a task force of stealth destroyers that struck like ghosts in the night. "Target their command vessels," Lisa ordered. "The Devourers coordinate their attacks through quantum entanglement networks. Disrupt their leadership and their formations collapse." Human tactics, developed through centuries of studying every form of warfare imaginable, proved devastating against an enemy that had never faced organized resistance. The Devourers had grown arrogant from consuming defenseless civilizations. They had forgotten how to fight equals. The battle raged for 18 hours. Space itself seemed to burn as ships died and were born in the furnace of combat. Human battle. Groups working in perfect coordination with Council allies created pockets of resistance that the Devourer swarm couldn't break, but numbers began to tell. For every Devourer ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The defense lines were bending, threatening to break under the relentless assault. That's when President Maria Santos made the call that would define humanity's legacy forever. "Operation Final Stand is authorized," she transmitted from the hidden command center deep beneath Earth's crust. "All reserve fleets, all prototype vessels, all experimental weapons. Everything we have." The galaxy watched in stunned amazement as humanity revealed the true depth of their preparations. Ships emerged from hidden bases that Council sensors had never detected. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as space stations came online. Entire asteroid fields revealed themselves to be massive defense installations. The human reserve fleet numbered 30,000 vessels, more ships than the entire Galactic Council had believed existed in human space. These weren't hastily converted merchant ships or upgraded patrol boats. These were purpose-built instruments of war, designed by species that had learned from 10,000 years of conflict. But the masterstroke came from an unexpected source. Dr. Robert Kim, a theoretical physicist who had spent 40 years studying the Devourer ship fragments recovered from dead worlds, transmitted a single message to Admiral Ross. "I found their weakness. The Devourer's organic ships weren't just alive. They were a hive mind, connected through quantum consciousness networks." Dr. Kim had developed a virus, not biological, but quantum, a pattern that could spread through their mental links and turn their greatest strength into a fatal vulnerability. The delivery system was the last hope herself. Admiral Kate Ross would have to take her ship into the heart of the Devourer formation and transmit the virus directly into their command vessel DOT. It was a suicide mission, but it was humanity's only hope. "All ships, this is Admiral Ross, Kate." Transmitted as the last hope began her final run. "Remember us not as warriors, but as guardians. The galaxy will survive because we chose to pay the price of its freedom." The last hope disappeared into the Devourer swarm, her guns blazing until the very end. When she died, she took the entire enemy fleet with her. Their hive mind collapsed by the quantum virus that spread like wildfire through their consciousness. The galaxy was saved, and humanity had proven that some things were worth any sacrifice. Peace, purchased with blood, endured for 1,000 years. Asterisk.